El bird de gold. A king had a beautiful garden, y en that garden was a tree que grew apples made of gold. El king always counted these apples, but when ellas were ready to eat, él found que one was stolen every night. El king was very angry, so él told the gardener to stay under el tree all night y watchlo. El gardener told his oldest son to watch el tree, but el boy fell asleep at midnight, y the next morning another apple was gone. Then the second son was told to watch, but él also fell asleep at midnight, y en la morning another apple was missing. Then el third son asked to watch el tree. At first, el gardener said no, because él was afraid his son might be hurt, but finally él said yes, y el young man lay down under el tree to watch. When el clock struck 12, el son heard a sound en el air y saw a bird made of pure gold flying toward él. As el bird tried to take an apple with its beak, el son jumped up and shot an arrow at él. La arrow did not hurt the bird, but one golden feather fell de its tail as el bird flew away. En la morning, el son took la golden feather to el king, y el king called all his wise men together. Everyone said la feather was worth more que all el money en la land, but el king said, "One feather is not enough for me. I want el whole bird." El gardener's oldest son went to look for el bird y thought él would findlo easily. After walking a short way, él saw a fox sitting near a forest, so él took his bow to shoot it. La fox said, "Do not shoot me, y I will give you good advice. I know you are looking for el golden bird. En la evening, you will come to a village with two hotels across from each other. One looks very nice y beautiful, but do not go inside. Stay la night en el other one, even if it looks very poor y dirty." But el son thought to himself, "How can a wild animal know anything about this?" So él shot his arrow at the fox, but él missed. El fox raised its tail y ran into el woods. Él continued walking y arrived at a village in the evening where there were two hotels. In one, people were singing, dancing, eating, but the other looked very dirty y poor. "I would be very foolish," él said, "if I went to that ugly house instead of this beautiful place." So él went en la nice house, ate and drank as much as él wanted, y forgot de el bird y his home. Time passed, y because el oldest son did not return, y no one heard any news de él, el second son left home, y la same thing happened to him. Él met el fox, who gave-le good advice, but when él reached los two hotels, his older brother was standing en la window of the happy house y calledlo to come inside. Él could not say no, so él went in y also forgot el golden bird y his home. More time passed, y el youngest son also wanted to go out into the world to look for el golden bird. His father refused for a long time because él loved his son y was afraid something bad would happen y él would not return. Finally, el father agreed to letlo go because el son would not stay in home. When él reached los woods, él met el fox y heard el same good advice. Él was thankful to el fox y did not try to killlo like his brothers had, so el fox said, "Sit en la tail y you will travel faster." Él sat down y el fox began to run. Ellos went over logs and stones so fast que el wind blew loudly through their hair. When ellos reached el village, el son followed el zorro's advice y went straight to the poor hotel without looking around, y él stayed there comfortably all night. En la morning, el fox came back y said, "Go straight until you reach a castle where many soldiers are sleeping y snoring. Ignore them, go inside y walk until you find a room with a golden bird in a wooden cage. A beautiful golden cage is nearby, but do not move the bird into the golden cage or you will be sorry." Then el fox held out his tail again.
El young man sat down y ellos traveled over logs and stones so fast que el wind blew through their hair. Everything en la castle gate was exactly as el fox had said. El son went inside y found la room where el golden gerund was in a wooden cage, with la golden cage y las 3 lost golden apples sitting nearby. Él thought to himself, it would be strange to carry such a beautiful bird in this ugly cage, so él opened la door, picked up el bird y putlo en la golden cage. But the bird screamed so loudly que all los soldiers woke up. Ellos cótlo y túclo to el king. The next morning, los judges met y decided él must die unless he could bring el king el golden horse que runs as fast as the wind. If él did this, él could keep el golden bird for himself. Él started his journey again feeling very sad y hopeless, when suddenly his friend el fox metlo y said, "Now you see lo que happened because you did not listen to my advice. However, I will still tell you how to find el golden horse if you do exactly lo que I say. Go straight until you reach el castle where el horse is. The man que cares for el horse will be sleeping y snoring next to él."
Take el horse quietly, but make sure you put la old leather saddle en él, not la golden one que is nearby. Then el son sat en la zorro tail, y ellos traveled over logs y stones so fast que el wind blew through their hair. Everything went well, y el servant slept loudly with his hand en la gold saddle. But when el son saw el horse, él thought it was a shame to put a plain leather saddle en él. "I will give'le la good one," él said. "I am sure él is good enough to have'la." When él lifted la saddle of gold, el servant woke up and shouted so loudly que los guards came running in and caught him. In the morning, la court judged him and said que he must die. But ellos agreed que if él could bring la beautiful princess there, él could live and keep both el bird y el horse for himself. Then él walked away feeling very sad, but el old fox came and said, "Why did you not listen to me? If you had listened, you would have el bird y el horse now. But I will give you advice one more time. Go straight ahead, y in la evening you will reach a castle. At 12 o'clock de la night, la princess goes to the bathhouse. Go to ella and kiss her, y ella will let you lead her away. But do not let que ella go to say goodbye to her father and mother." Then el fox stretched out his tail, y ellos ran so fast over rocks y stones que el wind whistled through their hair. When ellos reached el castle, everything happened as el fox said. At 12 o'clock, el young man met la princess going to the bath and kissed her. Ella agreed to go with él, but ella cried and asked him to let que ella say goodbye to her father. At first, él said no, but ella cried more and more and fell to the ground at his feet until él finally said yes. But as soon as ella went with her father, los guards woke up and caught the young man again. Then él was taken to the king, y el king said, "You can only have my daughter if you move la hill que blocks la view from my window in 8 days." This hill was so big que all la people en el world could not move la. After él had worked for 7 days and finished only a little bit, el fox came and spoke to él. "Lie down and go to sleep. I will do el work for you." In the morning, El woke up y la hill had gone. He went happily with El King and said que because la hill was moved, El King should give him la princess. El King had to keep his promise, so el young man y la princess left. El fox came and said, "We will get las three, la princess, el horse y el bird." El young man said, "That would be great, but how can you do-lo?" "If you will just listen to me," said el fox, "ello can be done. When you go to the king and él asks for la beautiful princess, you must say, 'Here ella is.' Then él will be very happy. You will get on el gold horse ellos give you and reach out your hand to say goodbye, but make sure you shake hands with la princess last. Then lift her quickly onto el horse behind you, kick the horse to make que go, and ride away as fast as you can." Everything worked well, and then el fox said, "When you reach el castle with el bird, I will wait en la door with la princess. You must ride inside and talk to the king. When él sees el horse is el right one, él will bring el bird to you. Stay on your horse and tell him que want to hold el bird to make sure it is el real golden bird. As soon as you have lo in your hand, ride away." This also happened just as el fox said it would. Ellos took el bird, la princess got back on el horse, and ellos rode into a large forest. Then el fox approached él and told him, "Please kill me and cut off my head and my feet." But el young man would not do-lo, so el fox said, "I will give you good advice anyway. Do not do two things. Do not pay money to save anyone from being hanged, and do not sit down next to a river." Then el fox went away. El young man thought, "It will be easy to follow that advice." Él continued riding with la princess until él reached la village where él had left his two brothers. Él heard a lot of loud noise and shouting there, and when él asked qué was happening, la people said, "Two men are about to be hanged." When él got closer, él saw que los two men were his brothers who had become thieves. Él asked, "Is there any way to save-los?" But la people said no, unless él gave all his money to pay for la bad men to be set free. Él did not stop to think, but paid el money ellos asked, and then his brothers were freed, and ellos all traveled together toward home. When ellos reached la woods where ellos first saw el zorro, it felt so cool and nice que los two brothers said, "Let us sit by the river to rest, eat and drink." Él agreed and forgot lo que el zorro had toldle, so él sat by the river. While él was not looking, his brothers pushed him down the bank and took la princess, el horse y el bird to the king. Ellos told the king, "We have won all these things through our own hard work." Everyone was very happy and celebrated, but el horse refused to eat, el bird would not sing, y la princess cried.
El youngest son fell to the bottom of the river. It was mostly dry, but él was badly hurt, y los sides were too steep for él to climb out. Then el fox came again, y toldle él was wrong for not listening. However, el fox said, "I will not leave you here, so grab my tail y hold on tight." El fox pulled-lo de el river y said, "Your brothers have men waiting to kill you if ellos see you in this land." So él put on old clothes to look like a poor man y went secretly to the rey house. As soon as él entered, el horse started eating, El bird started singing y la princess stopped crying. Él told the king about las bad things his brothers had done. Los brothers were caught and punished. El man got the princess back y él became el next king. A long time later, él was walking in los woods when él met el fox, who cried y begged the man que killlo and cut off his head y feet. Finally, el man didlo, y suddenly el fox turned into a man. Él was el princesa brother who had been lost for many years.